Every athlete needs strength. Whatever the sport, whatever the technique, strength gives power for running faster, jumping higher, or throwing further. The athlete may need skill, fitness, competitive urge, but only with strength can this be channeled by training into achievement. The great explosion in sports records of recent years has largely come from new emphasis on strength training. Training with weights is the traditional way to train for strength. For many experienced athletes, this is routine. For Daley Thompson, who excels in the 10 events of the decathlon, it has its own satisfactions. But before the young athlete goes into the weight training room, he must work through an exercise program designed to produce general strength in the whole body, beginning with exercises like this, using only his own body weight. Most individual exercises benefit particular muscle groups. This one strengthens ankle and knee extensor muscles. But for beginner and mature athlete alike, a training program must plan to strengthen all the main muscle groups. This, for example, develops muscles behind the thighs and those of the lower back, while this exercise for the abdomen and muscles controlling rotation of the spine develops a strong trunk. Gradually, the workload can be increased. Pole vaulter Alan Williams uses this log press to strengthen muscles behind the arms and across the chest. All athletes must train for a high level of general strength before going into the weight training room. The athlete lifts weights to improve his sports performance. He is not a competitive weightlifter, least of all a muscle man. Weightlifting can be dangerous. The coach must see that metal retaining collars hold the discs safely in place and, with the athlete, take great care that they are screwed tight every time. This is sophisticated Olympic equipment. Simpler, lighter, cheaper discs and bars are used by the beginner. These are just as effective. Chalking the hands is important to give a firm grip on the bar. After a good warm-up, Daley Thompson prepares for the power clean, one of the most useful of all lifts. It develops explosive strength and coordination. Weightlifting is safe, providing technique is correct. The drive comes from the legs. The movement is balanced, smooth, and controlled. The start position is critical. Feet apart, hands over the bar, about shoulder width apart, shins close to the bar. Arms straight and relaxed. The head up, the back flat. The arms stay straight while the knees and hips drive upwards. The back remains flat. As the body straightens, the bar is carried upwards. When the knees bend, he dips under the bar. Taking the weight on chest and shoulders, he straightens his body and stands up. On the return, the bar is lowered, first to arm's length, then with control to the floor. Throughout, the back stays straight. The power clean is a basic weights exercise for all athletes who need explosive strength. It strengthens back, shoulders, arms, hips. It develops agility. Above all, it strengthens the legs. It is valuable to every athlete who needs jumping, sprinting, driving leg strength, and all who need to produce power fast. Smaller discs raised from the floor and a lighter bar are safer and wiser for the young athlete. The coach must establish correct technique right from the start. The power clean is a good lift for the beginner.
Sit and go.
A common fault, wrong use of the back.
The lift comes from the legs, not from the back. So let's try that again. Good. And the other.
Young athletes can start lifting with light weights at about 16 years old. Normally not before. Paul Dickinson, international hammer thrower, demonstrates another basic lift, the front squat. This develops muscles at the front of the thigh and across the buttocks, a good lift for all who need leg strength in their sport. The head is held up. The bar is replaced on the squat stand for safety. The hands grip firmly over the bar. Shoulders pressed forward support the bar, elbows up. Even for mature athletes, the knees should be bent only until thighs are parallel with the floor. Any further can be dangerous. For the less experienced, 1/3 of the way down is safe. This places less strain on the knees and back. A stable position of the trunk with a safe upright back must be maintained throughout this lift. For safety, the weight trainer must always work with helpers, never alone. These spotters load the bar onto stands and are ready to help in case of accidents. This is the bench press. Feet on the floor, legs bent at right angles, the athlete flat on his back. Brian Hooper is an international pole vaulter, but this lift is useful for all athletes who need strength in the upper body. The bar is lowered until it touches the chest. Palms of the hands press under the bar so that the athlete can push it away from him until his arms are straight. This exercise develops the muscles across the chest and those which straighten the elbow. Breathing during all lifts must be as free and easy as possible. Here, as he presses up, he breathes out, breathing in as the bar is brought down. It is dangerous to hold the breath during lifts. Now hyperextension, which exercises the trunk with feet fixed under a bench. A 5-kilo weight held behind the head makes the workload harder. Weight training gives precise control over exactly which muscles are exercised. Here, back muscles, the rhomboids, trapezius and spine extensors, are being developed to produce a powerful pillar. Strength in the trunk is vital for all athletes who must transmit force from legs to upper body. Sit-ups strengthen the abdomen. The exercise is made more effective if the body is rotated and a weight is held behind the head. Traditional weights are not the only equipment used for strength training. Machines are popular. This one is interesting, but it's expensive. There are much simpler aids to strength training, like the weighted jacket this athlete is wearing and the weighted bag she carries in each hand.
Right, off you go. High thigh in front.
With jacket and hand weights, international sprinter Heather Hunt can carry, conveniently, an extra 6 kilos while she practices the actual movements of her event. Exercise with the extra load helps to develop strength in the very muscles which the sprinter most needs for powerful leg and arm action. Simple equipment is often the best. A medicine ball is not expensive and it's versatile. This exercise here coordinates the athlete's strength with an extra weight. Some weight training equipment need cost nothing at all. This old wooden log can be used in an exercise to develop trunk and upper body strength. Strength training practices can be invented using very simple equipment. This ordinary elastic rope can provide a valuable arm exercise. Even an old motor tyre can be useful, here to strengthen the sprinter's action. Improvisation with everyday things like this is not only cheaper, it brings variety into the training session. Each event in sport has its own specific strength. Rowing, for example, needs great strength and high muscular endurance, since racing oarsmen must pull for some 240 strokes in roughly 6 minutes. To choose which exercise will be most effective, the coach must first analyze the movement of the athlete. In rowing, power is applied through the driving muscles of the legs, the lower back, and to some extent through the pulling muscles of the arms and upper body. Once analysis is made, the coach can select exercises appropriate to the muscle movements and the strengths that his particular event demands. The sprint start, for example. This obviously needs great strength for the explosive extension of the rear leg. At this moment, the race can be won or lost. Exercises like this kickback, chosen to increase the initial thrust, can improve performance dramatically.
2, come on, push.
The sprinter's power also depends upon the force of each leg as it strikes the ground, so both legs must be strengthened. Similarly, special exercises must be devised to strengthen the sprinter's arms. The power of the arms and shoulders must balance the leg movements and help to keep the trunk stable.
Come on, fast, very fast. Punch, 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 punch. Come on, push.
The dumbbell press encourages a fast, powerful action.
Very fast. Come on, really work now. Come on.
Strength with speed, which can be channeled into the arm action of the sprint itself.
And stop. Well done.
When it comes to analysing the long jumper's strength training requirements, the coach sees the legs need great elastic strength and the back must be strong enough to resist the explosive power of the legs on takeoff. This exercise provides training for both. The weighted ball makes the back muscles work hard to keep the trunk upright. Hopping and bounding activities like this develop leg strength which is elastic. With this, the athlete can convert the full speed of the run-up at takeoff into the momentum of the good long jump. For each athlete, the coach must not only select the most effective exercises, he must plan a graduated program. Brian Hooper has been given a training schedule which calls for 4 biceps curls. They are followed by a timed rest. The rest is as important as the lift itself. Following his schedule, he repeats this sequence of 4 lifts a planned number of times. With the pattern of repetition, strength steadily increases. He will perform these sequences or sets of lifts at each training session until, after some days or even weeks, he is strong enough for more weight to be added in carefully graduated amounts. The training schedule is carefully regulated. The amount of weight he lifts, the number of lifts in a set, the number of sets in a session, all of these depend upon his individual standard and the demands of his event. Progressively, the workload is increased. The more weight the athlete lifts, the stronger he becomes. But there is a limit. For the sportsman, strength training is not an end in itself. If Brian Hooper required the maximum strength of a shot putter, he would lift heavy poundages with few repetitions. As a pole vaulter, he lifts lighter weights more frequently, always in relation to the speed, flexibility and skill needed for his event. Whatever the program, athlete and coach should discuss it together and study progress, not just for weightlifting, but for all strength training exercises.
Yeah, we'll leave it there for another couple of sessions and then we'll whack the weight.
The coach sees that a record is kept of every detail of the training session. Good strength training programs can transform sports performance, but strength training exercises alone are not enough. Running must be an integrated part of every training program. It develops endurance to perform all the necessary repetitions and produces the sound heart and lungs that athletes need. Sessions should end as they begin with relaxed exercise.
Yeah, we're ready, you know.
A game like this, as a warm-down, allows athletes to use different muscles after the heavy work of a hard training session.
Good shot. Yep, guy can do skills, just go and kick the ball. To the head.
Strength training is not just for heavy power athletes. It's a necessary part of all athletes' training, whatever their age, sex or sport, and it can be fun.